One of the more important measures of the New Zealand economy comes out this week with data on gross domestic product. Otago Daily Times business editor Dene MacKenzie is here to tell us what he expects and why. Good evening, Dene.
Hello.
Tell us, what are you hearing about these figures?
Well, a couple of things actually. The Reserve Bank has a very low growth figure of 0.2% for the September quarter. Now these figures are historic, looking backwards, but they're still an important measure because then we get a bit of a feel for how the economy's going. The market forecasts or predictions is for 0.6% in growth in our economic activity for September, probably giving a 2.3 annual rate. Yep.
What does it mean for the economy?
Well, basically, as you said at the beginning, GDP actually measures our total economic activity in New Zealand. So at 2.3%, well, say at 0.6% for the quarter, we're well behind our two main trading partners, which is Australia and China, respectively. But we're well ahead of Europe and well ahead of America, so we're in a reasonably good position. I mean, it's not a strong position, and we're sort of not seeing the job growth that would come from if our GDP was growing at 5%.
Which areas of industry would we most likely be seeing this growth from in this result?
Okay, well, we've had a huge increase in exports of primary products, which is dairy products went 32%. In the quarter, and meat production was up 17% in the quarter. That averages out about 10% across both of them. So, but been fantastic growing conditions, and that's unlikely to continue into next year. So, a bit of a worry we're going to see a bit less of those exports. And the high dollar, even though you said before the dollar went down, we're still picking it to be 85 cents US before the end of the week.
It is quite high. Now, why are GDP figures important?
Well, it's only Statistics New Zealand have done a great job of bringing them up almost to date, so we're only waiting 3 months. So it gives us an indication, for journalists and economists of how our economy is doing, what parts are strong, whether construction or whether it's meat and produce or what's happening. But more importantly, it gives us an idea of what we can expect leading on. You were going on your before this intro about how costs had increased. Well, it gives people just an idea of whether job growth is likely to continue or flatten. Just a bit of preparation, like food prices and things have gone up in some areas. So people need to plan for that, and they can do that by looking at the GDP figures.
And post-earthquake rebuilding is starting to kick in now. What kind of an effect will that have?
Well, that's fortunately, because boy, have we waited a long time for that to happen. So we'll see some job growth coming out of Christchurch. Already companies are shipping in people and they're building accommodation in Christchurch for the builders. One thing that's been slow to start is commercial construction in Christchurch, mainly held up from insurance payments. That's starting to change, and now investors are becoming more confident about investing into commercial buildings in Christchurch. So we'll see some larger job growth in Christchurch, and that flows on through the rest of the economy.
Now, we're coming into the Christmas period. What are you hearing from the local business community about how the economic situation is looking? Well,
it's really mixed. I mean, I think in every survey you see that there's, and there was a survey out today that I wrote about, it's just some areas. I mean, so some retailers are doing extremely well and others are still quite flat. It's just market driven. Some manufacturers are doing well. We're struggling a bit down here in our manufacturing, but our services industries are just going gangbusters at the moment, and Otago Southland's leading the country in services area. But even then, that's patchy. Some tourism operators are saying they do really well, and some in Queensland are saying they're really flat. So it's just, you've got to be good at your game, really. But it's on the whole, we're improving.
ODT business editor Dene MacKenzie, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.